Hi there. My name is Jeremy Ginsberg, and in this video, I'm going to discuss how to deal with family, how to deal with in-laws, what to practice when we get triggered or bothered or upset or judgmental around family matters and situations like that. So I'm inspired to create this video now because I'm currently in Vietnam, where it's a bit louder, as you can hear dogs barking and everything else in the background. And I just came back from 10 days in Japan with my family, and now I'm with my fiance's family celebrating the Lunar New Year. And coincidentally, one of my clients is in Canada, and he has his in-laws staying with him. And so just good timing to talk about this stuff. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain my belief system of what I feel is going on the inside, and then discuss practices and what to do about it. So a lot of psychologists talk about the formative years as when we're a kid and how our family really influences our upbringing, which is true. We're born into this world as a lot of untapped potential, if you will, a lot of curiosity. Just picture this baby really not understanding the world, and then through our family we're taught right and wrong, good, bad, and basically given a set of limitations that are there to make us safe. The question then is, what happens when, as a kid, we feel that our parents or our family or whoever we're surrounded by gives us limitations that we don't agree with, where we feel like we're trapped. And that often happens. Maybe if you can remember, you were given a curfew and you didn't want to have a curfew. You're like, no, I want to go out as late as I can. And then your dad or your mom gets really upset because you have to be home at 11, and then because they give you the limitation, you run and rebel even more. And at the end of the day, they're really just trying to keep you safe. But in that moment, you get angry, you get mad or frustrated. This is stupid. My dad doesn't trust me. I want to go out. Blah blah blah. And in that moment, if it doesn't allow to go, through you completely, if you aren't fully okay with it, it leaves an imprint on your psyche, if you will. So in yoga, it's called samskara. But if you really think about it as you're just this TV, right? But it leaves an imprint of kind of the show before it. And so because of that, you have that stored energetically in your body. And so next time someone says, hey, be home at 11, it hits that part of you that has the memory of, when I was 16, my dad yelled at me because I blah, blah, blah. And then so it brings back that memory, that feeling. And so we have a lot of these, stored in our psyche. Essentially, when we get triggered, what it means is something from the outside world comes in and it hits our stuff on the inside, and then a memory or an impression from earlier in this life gets activated, and then that feeling, that emotion comes up again. So whether it's anger or frustration or sadness, loneliness, abandonment, and this is why there's so much work being done called inner child work, where it's going in and speaking to that voice of, at some point the child was taught that it's not safe to do this. If I go out after 11 p.m. and I come back at 11:02 and my dad screams at me, then all of a sudden I'm thinking, it's not safe to follow my intuition that said, hey, let's go out past 11. And that's assuming it came from a place of, you felt called. Maybe on the drive home you were going to be on time, but then all of a sudden you passed a star and the star just caught your attention. So you pulled the car over and looked at the star and just stared at it. Thought, wow, I'm so grateful to be here. This is cool. You had this moment, and then you go home, and then all of a sudden you learn that, it's not safe. It's bad if you disobey these limitations given by society. And so there's fear that's imprinted. It's like, oh no, now I got to stay within the boundaries, because if I listen to my intuition, which says, hey, just follow the star, then I get in trouble. So on a deeper level, basically it conditions us to not listen to our body, not listen to our intuition. It's way less empowering, instead just to follow society and what they tell us. If you look at any kid, most parents really just say, eat, and then they eat, and then they cheer them on. It's like, yay. So what is that doing? On a subconscious level, the kid gets love when he eats. instead of saying, are you hungry, and empowering the child to know when to eat, when to stop, what to eat, and getting in tune with his body. And this is something that I experience, and I see it here in Vietnamese culture as well. It's just like the elders just want to tell us to eat, and they want to keep us safe, they want to keep us fed, and it comes from love. They don't know any better. So basically what's going on when we get triggered by family or in-laws is we have some sort of imprint in ourselves that we're not okay with, that we haven't been able to release or let go. And what that really means is we haven't let it to go through us completely. And it's a lot easier to let things completely go through your psyche than you think. For example, if you go to the market and you're walking, you pass so many different people. You pass all these cars, you pass a bird in the sky, and it goes right through you. You don't mind it, right? You don't mind it because it goes in and it doesn't hit any of your stuff, so your mind doesn't get triggered or activated, and therefore it just goes right through you. 99% of your life is just like this. You watch this video, it goes right through you. You see an ad on Facebook, you see a car driving by, you eat a chocolate, it doesn't bother you, it doesn't hit any of your stuff. But the other 1% is stuff that does. So if you had, a relationship with a parent, and just say your dad likes to tell you what to do and how to run your life and how to get good grades in school, and there's this fear, you felt like you were trapped because something within you is like, I want to do it a different way, but society or family forced you to do it the other way, then it creates this imprint. And so when we interact with our family or our in-laws, or really the entire outside world, when stuff comes in, it hits our stuff, we have an opportunity to release that imprint. And it's simple. You just feel it. You can just feel it, you relax, and you let go. But basically why we get triggered so much by our family is because that is where we've got all of those imprints from our childhood. So Ram Dass has a beautiful quote. He says, if you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family. And that's because there's a lot of people who are fine when they go on a vacation, or they're at a spiritual center or a retreat or whatever it may be, and they're able to be completely at peace. They're able to not get triggered because nothing on the outside is hitting their stuff. But then they go home, and then their parents say one thing, and all of a sudden it's like back into that role, right? So to talk about roles a little bit, we have many different roles in society. You could be a teacher, you could be a parent, you could be a friend, your job, your position. And every time you interact with someone, you realize that we wear different roles. We take on different personalities depending on where we are in society. So if you notice, you're completely different when you're in front of a grandparent versus when you're stressed out at the airport and they give you some trouble at security, right? One role is with family, and so you kind of put on that hat, if you will. The other is just in the real world, in line at the security, etc. But in that role, and depending on what country you're in, the police officer, the security person at immigration, they have this essence to them that may bring up some fear, or just I just want to get through this. You want to rush through it, where you don't have that exact stuff come up within your grandma. And so, based on our imprints, we have these different roles that we play in our life. And when we do that, it's important just to stay mindful of what's taking place. There's nothing wrong with the role. You can be a lover, you can be a son, a child, a student, a teacher. Society functions well because we're in these roles. But to remember is not to identify with these roles. To realize, yes, right now I'm just playing son and you're playing father. So you're going to tell me how to live my life, and even though there's a part of me that doesn't like that, I can just accept it and be back here and realize that I'm just kind of fitting into these roles. And so one thing that I found really helpful is just maintaining a deep sense of presence, a deep sense of awareness, just being fully present on the inside and saying what's coming up. Because oftentimes in front of family, because we have all these things stuck, and I don't know where physically they're held in the body, it can change, and science hasn't really looked to explore this phenomenon, but there is energy stuck in there. And often when it's hit, we get tense, the emotion comes back, there's an urge, there's a tendency, and often that can lead to reacting instead of responding. Reacting is just the impulse. We react to something. It's not something that we're conscious of. What we want to do is shift that to a response. So stimulation comes in, our family says something, someone says something else, we don't like it, we get tense, we get angry, we want to fight back. That's the reaction that wants to happen. Relax, release, take a breath, and then go into response mode, right? This is where we don't come from a place of ego. We can act of love and understanding and compassion and realize that they're just playing their role, the best that they know, the best that they can. And if the more we can separate that, instead of going back into our ego, which takes us into our mind and reacts, so they say something that triggers you, and then you say something else that wants to fight, and then it goes into this drama, basically. It's a beautiful opportunity for you to relax, release, let go. What are you letting go of? Letting go of the role, the attachment, the identification to your aspect in that role, whether it be positive or negative. Letting go, relax, releasing, and you can watch it leave often. Just let it, it just leaves. If you don't touch it, if you just release and relax, it will disappear and dissolve. And if you stay rooted in presence, if you stay in awareness back here, there's space inside. You can go in, you can go back, left and right, just like there's space in this video. And so just rest away, and you'll know exactly where it is. You'll know when it comes up. You'll know because you feel the urgent tendency. But the tendency wants you to react, to get involved and say, oh, I hate when you say this, and get back into that same argument that you're always in. Relax, release, and then from that place of stillness, calmness, then you can respond. They say something, you can say, thanks for the input, I appreciate it. Or you can just simply say, you know what? I'd rather not talk about that right now. But the energy that you put into it, the essence of the place that it comes from, is far more important than whatever you specifically say. And this is a beautiful chance to reclaim your power from these people that have said, here's your limitations, here's what we want you to be, here's how you need to be in order to receive love. And you can just beautifully, it doesn't have to be in this powerful, egotistic way, just speak your truth, be authentic, be open, be vulnerable. You say, no, I don't really feel like talking about that right now. Or when you say that, I feel a little bit, sad right now. Maybe it's not best to discuss. And it's really less about what you say, and it's more about how you say it and the place where it comes from. Because if it can come from your heart, then it'll allow the other person to get back in their heart. And instead of you two talking about roles and triggering one another, it can be in the heart and have a very loving, thoughtful, mindful conversation. So I hope you're still with me. and I hope this is helpful. And I also want to suggest that you just really try whatever practice works, whatever practice helps. But this has been most helpful for me. I was just in Japan, and there was one meal where I was just like, I'm not going to say anything. Because every time someone said something, I was just triggered, just falling back into these old patterns, these old roles, where as a kid I was super praised for being the funny brother who could just make a laugh out of anything, for doing the thing that impressed my dad, or for following my older brother's advice, whatever it is. These are very innocent behaviors at times, but just realizing that a lot of it came from this place of fear, where it's like, oh, I don't know what to do next. I'm afraid of being in this place of unknown, so I can find my own truth. So it was easier to just listen to what my brother had to say, to just follow my dad's advice, to just do what I felt my sister would do. Because if I can make her laugh, then I get external approval. And so there's a lot of deepness when it comes to this, but that's why it's called practice, because sometimes it's not stuff we can just figure out in a snap, but sometimes we can. And so allowing yourself the opportunity to do so is a great way to contribute to your own growth. So hope you find this helpful, and hang in there, keep breathing, you got this, and we'll talk soon. Please subscribe or leave a comment if you have anything to add. If you have any questions, let me know. And as they say in Vietnam, ciao. Xin chào.